Hey everybody, it's Reviews and More, back with a quick review on yet another kitchen item. As always, if you find this review helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button, as it really helps out the channel. Now, as you can probably tell from just prior to me opening the box, this is a Shaq brand, or Shaquille O'Neal brand, indoor smokeless grill system. So I will give you a spoiler ahead of time. I returned it. I didn't return it because it didn't work. It worked just fine. The issue was, for me personally, I didn't see that I was going to get a good use out of this because of the size and the cost. It was $90, which is a little bit high end for me as far as for a kitchen appliance, although for others it probably isn't. But for me, my most frequent use of this item would probably be for making like paninis and grilled sandwiches, that kind of stuff, and probably doing some burgers and light cooking like that. But I was hoping that advertised amount, the coverage with it, so it cooks for like 4 to 6 people. I didn't find that to be terribly accurate. You're going to see me cook 3 different sets of items. One's going to be 3 chicken breasts, 2 large, 1 medium, as well as 3 burgers, which I think broke down to like a quarter pound, and maybe like a third of a pound, based on how big the pack of meat I had was. And they just, for me, it didn't really do much there. Here you're seeing me remove and unbox. Obviously, everything's removable from this with the exception of the heat elements, but the griddles are all removable, top and bottom. The catch tray, the aluminum catch tray, as well as there is a drip tray that you'll see when I get to the cleaning portion of the video. But the biggest reason why I returned it was because I didn't feel like I'd get the utility out of it that I was really hoping to get with an indoor grill. So I'd be able to cook for a few people, and in this case, I think I really only could cook like 3. In this case, you're going to see me cook chicken breasts, only like 3 medium and 1 small chicken breast. Now, as far as how it's made pretty well. There's a couple flaws to me. The preheat function on this, it's strange. The timing function along with the preheat function, if you set it to preheat to 375 as I'm doing here, and I left it at 25 minutes just for my own purposes for the video, it will basically beep and then it starts counting down. So if you're not, you need to stay by this thing, otherwise you'll lose your cook time. So if you're looking to like have something where you can kind of leave it on its own and not watch it, this isn't going to work. You're going to have to keep track of it. So that's probably the biggest flaw in the cooking mechanism. Obviously, the temperatures are adjustable. There's a fan. That's what keeps it smokeless. Turn the fan on. It filters out smoke. That works actually excellent. You don't have any issues with extra smoke getting in, which is kind of nice. So if you're looking for indoor smokeless grill, and that's all you're looking for, that's great. And as you saw in the video right there, you saw it was kind of spring-loaded. The spring-loaded function basically gives you even cooking. So instead of having like a hinged top, this one ends up being relatively airtight. And the bottom griddle is on a spring platform, which allows for even cooking, and it moves up and down. It's good and bad depending on the thickness of the item you're cooking, because you might not get perfectly even cooking. If, like in this case with the chicken's obviously more narrow on the top than it is on the bottom, so I had some chicken that wasn't even in thickness, which means if you're cooking something with uneven thickness, you will get uneven cooking because there's no way to like smush it down because the spring just keeps going down lower. Now, what I will say is it cooked everything beautifully for me. Again, the main issue why I returned it and why I didn't get much use out of it had nothing to do with the quality of what was being cooked. It was the amount. I was hoping to be able to put more on the griddle than really was going to advertise. It advertises like holding 4 to 6 burgers. For me, if you put 6 burgers on here, they would be almost like really small sliders. So they wouldn't be very large at all. And here now you can see the unevenness. So I obviously had one slightly thicker piece of chicken. And because this doesn't like just smush down on top of the chicken and kind of, for lack of a better word, pancake it with some pressure, you're going to have some uneven cooking if you're not careful. Although when I cooked this, it worked out just fine. So as far as my assessment, this is perfect for somebody who wants to kind of have the grilling capacity, maybe like in like an apartment complex where you don't have access to a grill, or if you're in like a setting simply where you can't have grills outside. If you're in like a cold weather area where grilling just isn't practical, this might be a good option for you. And notice, cut right through it, cooked perfectly, cooked all the way through, nice little golden crust on there. This chicken was completely unseasoned because I was trying to avoid any discoloration from seasoning I would have put on it. So this is just all natural chicken, boneless, skinless chicken breast, nothing attached to it. The only thing that's in this boneless, skinless chicken breast is I think they pump it up with salt water or broth or chicken broth. So that's the only thing you're seeing that might be throwing off some of the texture and look. But it cooked it all the way through, each of the thicknesses, even though there wasn't perfect contact, so it was effective. I just simply followed the instructions that came in the little booklet because I was trying to stick to that. But it was very, very good tasting chicken, even though I had no seasoning on it. So if you're just looking for this to be a basic grill for like a single person, maybe a couple, it'll work great. If you're thinking this is going to replace like a full-blown skillet or grill that you could have, you might need to look elsewhere, because 6 is kind of pushing how many people it can really feed. All right, so there's the griddle. There's the grease trap where the grease goes. That little hole right there, that's the final grease trap. So it's like a multi-stage grease protection. Obviously, the griddles themselves, they hold a little bit of whatever you cooked into them. Then there's a secondary aluminum grease trap, and then there's finally a secondary grease catcher at the very bottom, which is where everything kind of goes if it overflows. In this case, it just had some condensation from the water and steam from the food I cooked. But it's cool. The contraption's cool. I'll have to admit, it's a very well done, well made item. I felt confident when I cooked it with it. The non-stick ability of the griddles you see here, I'm using no soap or anything. I'm just using a somewhat rough cloth. Like I'm not using paper towels. I'm using a wet dish rag, and it wipes it right off. Just a little bit of warm water, and it takes care of it. And then you can throw it right back on top of the griddle, and you're good to go. But I want to emphasize, this is probably a good deal for someone who needs or desires grilling style food inside like an apartment or inside a situation where you simply you don't have patio space, you don't have a grill, or you don't want to buy a grill because you don't feel like you use it for outside. You're in that kind of position. And I'll re-emphasize, guys, it has nothing to do with the quality. The quality's there, the ability to cook is there. It has to do with just the size of the item and how much it can produce as far as cookable surface and how much food you can produce with it effectively. To put it into something a little more maybe numerical that's going to be useful to other people, a family of 4 could use this grill if they weren't expecting to go back for seconds. So here you see me obviously cooking some ground beef with feta cheese in it. I love putting cheese inside of ground beef. It's so good. I prefer blue cheese, but I had feta today, so that's what we got. You notice those are 3 big burgers, so that was pretty full. There were probably 2 quarter pounders and like a third pound in there. So it's not a whole lot of grilling space, and they cooked a little bit thick. I was hoping the press would actually kind of press it out and make them a little flatter to fit on the buns a little better when I eventually cut them up. But they actually came out a little tiny bit fat, in my opinion. They were still functional burgers, still were delicious. It's just the spring loading of that thing, as it was losing weight, obviously you start also, the springs kind of retract, and it doesn't really push them down far enough. But yeah, so a family of 4 would basically be able to eat off this thing if they didn't go back for seconds. I'm a going back for seconds kind of guy, so it's not really going to be functional for me. If you have a family of 3 or 4 and someone always wants a second burger, you're going to come up short on this. You won't be able to use it one time, be done. You're going to have to basically cook, then recook. There is no sitting down. It's going to be you're going to have to keep going. This would be a perfect item for someone who's like going off to college or going off to their first apartment or something, and they're living alone or maybe with one significant other, and it's just easier than like smoking up your whole kitchen, cooking on top of a stovetop. Because it is very smokeless. The smokeless functionality works exceptionally well. I'll give that to them. But for the price point for me, I just wasn't getting much out of it, considering the food needs of my family. So I returned it, but I'm not going to sit there and say it's a bad item. I think it's actually a very good item. The price point was just not there for me based on what I got out of it. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.